Hey guys, what's up? It's Maine here, back with another video. So we've got the higher low. Everyone was kind of worried when we did the last video about price potentially just continuing to trade lower. We saw calls for much lower prices. Lo and behold, we got a bounce over the weekend. So I'm currently long and in profit. Are we out of the woods yet? No, but I went pretty deep into detail in my last video about why I'm still bullish and talking about gold and just cyclically where we are at. So we're going to continue on that vein in this video, and hopefully later this week price is going to be pushing higher. And we're going to see higher prices on Bitcoin, on ETH, and you're already seeing a lot of the people who were bearish just a couple of days ago. Now they're flipping bullish. Now they're longing. Now they're saying Bitcoin's going to put in a God candle. So luckily, we have a very good entry, and even if we end up being wrong, we're not chasing the move like many of these people are. A lot of people are going to be longing here right now, and have been longing kind of over the last day. And if we do roll back over, they're going to get smoked. We managed to long pretty much as close to the low as you could for this higher low. We talked about the Dalai Lama, all of that bullshit. So what is the next move for Bitcoin, for crypto? Obviously, if you look at the other markets, stock markets back near the all-time highs. You look at gold. Gold had its little pullback. It's right back at the highs. So now, is it finally crypto's turn to catch up? We still have some headline risk. We had Trump send out a few messages, a few words earlier, and the market pulled back a little bit, and now it's recovering. At the end of the day, the market is set up to go higher. From a chart perspective, the setup is there. From a cycle perspective, the setup is there. From a macro perspective, with gold and equities flying, the setup is there. The counterweight basically to the bullishness here is that Friday from a couple weeks ago now, where are we still seeing the contagion and the unwinding of some of these positions from Wintermute and other market makers and things like that got basically ADL'd, and they've got to balance their books, and it's now this kind of marginal seller that's just going to be in the market, and there's not enough bids, there's not enough buyers. I'm still a bull. We were bullish from the bottom. We were bullish on October 10th when that fucking nuke happened, and we're going to remain that way for now until proven otherwise. So to rehash kind of where we're at, and this is exactly what I talked about in my video that I did, I don't even know when, Saturday, that we could still just be trading below this old weekly low here and end up closing above it and maintain this SFP. That happened. So now the setup is here on Bitcoin. We're still holding this weekly structure, and ideally we just get this next impulsive leg sooner than later. If we lose 98,000, that is a loss of a key support level on the weekly. Now, I've seen a few people, like notably Credible Crypto, mention, he's also bullish, that the key level is $74,000. I'll explain what he means by that, and in my opinion, the danger in using that as a level, okay? The reason I'm using the weekly level is because the way that the market structure breaks down, you got to think of it like a Russian doll. Those little fucking babushka dolls? Right, so you have your big ass fucking doll, that's the yearly chart. Within the yearly is the monthly. Within the monthly is the weekly, and so on and so forth, all the way down to the fucking one tick chart. The problem with using the big babushka doll, the monthly babushka doll, is the invalidation is very far away from price. So on the weekly chart, I've mentioned the weekly structure here is at 98K. This is our weekly structure. It's still bullish, and we even held this internal weekly range. The invalidation is below this 98K level, which is not that far below price. Obviously, if we go down to 98K, that sucks, But we're talking about a 10% move. It's not like, 50%. And with the upside, in my opinion, being 140, 150,000 plus the risk reward here to be a bull at the lows was optimal. The problem with using the monthly chart here, even though the monthly can remain bullish all the way down to 74K, is that 74K is far as fuck, for lack of a better term, from price. So this is your monthly low, right? This is your monthly low. Oh my God, I don't have the pro version of the pen. I'm fucking broke. I gotta update that, sorry guys. That's your monthly low. This is your monthly high. This is your monthly range. In theory, we could come all the way down here into this monthly order block. Hell, we could even sweep this low like we are on the weekly right now, and then conceivably go higher. The problem, right, is people are talking about longing now, or ideally like us, longing a couple days ago. With an upside target, let's be optimistic, 150 at least. Well, if your invalidation is the monthly low, that is not a very good trade, in my opinion, because the RR is shit. You're getting like very, very, very shitty reward to risk because your stop or the invalidation of your bullish thesis is all the way down at 74K, which is 30+% below where we are now. Now, I don't assume that Credible is saying, hey, I'm going to long now and I'm going to hold it all the way down to 74. Of course not. I don't think anyone should do that. But in theory, the monthly trend would still be intact so long as we held 74K. And if you look here, this is your monthly structure here on Bitcoin in the last cycle. Like, we never broke it, right? But like, this doesn't help anyone. I mean, that's basically fucking zero. This was your internal monthly structure break, but technically the higher low on the monthly was back there. Well, once this broke, I mean, there wasn't that much downside left. And then once you would have been better off trading this as an SR flip, to be honest with you. Now on the way up here, this was our monthly range. And so when everyone is freaking out during this pullback, I said the same thing I'm saying now. Technically, we could go all the way down here and still be a higher low on the monthly. Obviously, we came to about 50% of that range and then put a higher low. Same thing here. This was your monthly range. This pullback could have came all the way down here. It didn't come all the way there, but technically this was your monthly range. And so in theory, or not in theory, but technically, this is your monthly range. So we could have significantly more downside while still maintaining that monthly structure. The problem with the monthly structure is this is such a high time frame that if you're going to operate on the monthly structure, you are going to be round tripping a significant amount of the upside before you get confirmation that the monthly chart is indeed bearish. So again, I don't think that Credible is suggesting you hold your coins all the way below here, but technically it could come down at 80K and still be in an uptrend on the monthly. The reason I use the weekly is because, go back to our Russian doll example, it's a smaller, right? It's a smaller fractal of the larger doll, but it's going to shift more quickly because it's a lower time frame. And this is the same logic all the way down the line. Market structure is going to, when the top is in, market structure will be bearish on the hourly, the fucking daily, the weekly, well before it is on the monthly. And conversely, when the market is bullish, it will flip bullish on the lower time frames first. The higher time frames give you that confirmation, right? But the low time frame gives you it earlier. Now, here's why I trade the system that I do, right? When I tell you guys, hey, we're looking for this low to get run on the high time frame, right? And then on the lower time frame, what am I doing? I'm looking for something like this on the low time frame. Well, what is this? Oh, it's a break or it's a fucking fair value gap. This is a market structure shift on the low time frame. So if we get a high time frame low get run, and then on the Low time frame, I get bullish market structure. I'm saying, hey, this is perhaps a clue, using the context that we just had a high time frame low get run, that the low time frame is now flipping bullish. And what happens after the low time frame flips bullish, if the market is indeed bullish, the high time frame will flip bullish after. So by using the low time frame, we can get that entry earlier and then front run basically high time frame confirmation. So to take this another step deeper, right, is you got to remember this could be the H12 chart, okay? And let's assume, well, let me just draw this a little better here. This is the H12 chart, okay? And we just swept this low. And then it's going to do this. The H12 was in an uptrend this entire time, right? It SFP'd this low, so it's a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher, like it's in an uptrend. But down here, leading into this move, the hourly chart was in a downtrend. Okay? And then what we're looking for is that moment where the hourly bang flips bullish, and we're saying based on the high time frame being bullish and the low time frame seeing us take out this low, and now on the low time frame we flip bullish, I'm going to assume that the high time frame trend is going to continue or shift or whatever, right? So it's using that low time frame to get ahead of the high time frame trend resuming, trying to catch that higher low, trying to catch that point of reversal. So how does that apply to where we are right now? Well, the weekly chart here, in theory, could do this, right? We could break below here, put in a lower high on the weekly, come all the way down here, do this, sweep this low, and then bang, the weekly's now back in an uptrend, and the monthly just put in a higher low. It never broke its trend. The problem with waiting on the monthly here is that low is all the way down here. So what we're going to use is we're going to use a lower time frame. And I'm going to assume the monthly is bullish. I'm not going to assume it is. And the weekly, technically, still bullish. So I'm going to assume that what's happening here, if I can get low time frame confirmation, is the resumption of that uptrend. We're front running it on the low time frame rather than waiting and saying, okay, well, technically the weekly confirmation is back above here. Well, I don't want to wait too long here. I want to try and be precise, especially if you're using leverage, right? So the monthly low is 74K. The weekly low is 98K. And to me, that's a much more interesting level because on the flip side here, let's assume that the top is in. Okay, boo, gay bear. Let's assume it's in, just for argument's sake of this example here. If this is the top, and then we get a weekly close below here, okay, and then a bounce, what's going to happen? Everyone is going to pile in on this bounce, saying the bottom's in, it was a fake out. And then what happens? Bang, another low, right? And then, oh, another bounce, and then boom. And then let's say it does get a monthly close below here. The weekly told us we were in a downtrend at 100K. The monthly didn't confirm its downtrend until 74K. So that's a big fucking range there that you would essentially be saying, well, okay, the monthly's still bullish. That clue that the monthly might flip bearish could present itself on the weekly much earlier. And so that's why I'm using the weekly level instead of the monthly. If we break below 98K, I'm going to recalibrate my thoughts on the market in general. Sorry. Even though we could remain bullish to 74K, I don't think we should go anywhere near there if we're indeed going to go to 150K this year, Q1 of 2026, 4-year cycle bullshit that I've been talking about for months, where, you know, seemingly all of Twitter is now just catching on and hoping and praying that the 4-year cycle exists, because none of them apparently made any money. So not surprised to no one, of course. So that's the thesis for my bullishness. That coupled with the gold argument, the macro argument, all that other shit I said is basically from a technical analysis standpoint, we're still maintaining this weekly structure. And I'm going to assume that we're bullish until that changes, right? Like this was the weekly structure last time, right? This was our weekly structure here. Never broke. If you guys go back, watch my YouTube videos, look at my posts on Twitter. I posted this exact range back here. So during this entire pullback, when everyone was like, wow, gayest cycle ever, barely made a new all-time high, I said anywhere within this range, we can put in a weekly high or low. And generally, we get a big fat SFP at the same time. I'm hoping that this pullback and this sweep is exactly that, okay? I could be wrong, but I'm sticking with my guns. I'm sticking with my thesis. At the end of the day, if I'm wrong, I lose a little bit of money. And if I'm right, I look like a fucking genius because I was bullish before pretty much anyone else. And, you'll hear about it on Twitter. So we've broken down the high time frame to the weekly now. Now, what would we want to see based on this weekly low being taken within this weekly demand, within weekly structure? What would I want to see on the low time frame for potential confirmation that indeed the weekly trend is going to continue? I want to see the 12-hour put in bullish structure, right? The 12-hour is bearish right now. Even though the weekly is in an uptrend, the 12-hour here could be bearish. I want to pinpoint on the 12-hour when that's going to flip bullish. To me, it's a little tricky here, right? Because you're like, okay, you got this really gay fucking wick here that kind of throws things off. I'm going to use this, I think, as the critical level here that I want to see flipped. You could argue it's this level we're at right now. And if we flip this, high odds, I think we go back to here. But for real confirmation, just because these are a little bit unprecedented times with what happened a couple weeks ago and just the general lackluster underperformance of Bitcoin lately in general versus the rest of the market, I really would like to see us make a higher high above here. I think if we can get above this high, that is going to cement my thesis that the weekly trend was always intact, that weekly uptrend is going to continue, and this would be potentially your next opportunity to long if you didn't long down here, and then the next parabolic move. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. That's kind of my thoughts. I hope you guys can see that I've been consistent in my thought process here about what I expect to happen. And whether I'm right or wrong, I stick with my plan until I'm invalidated. And once I'm invalidated, then I give myself the freedom, as you need to change my bias. One of the things that you will see on Twitter that is the most frustrating is most of these people's conviction is like a wet paper bag. Like it's not strong. It's not structurally sound. And for the most part, that's because they don't have the ability or the knowledge or the understanding of how to actually pick a level of invalidation. And I'm giving you what mine are. It's more important to know where you're wrong than it is to know where price is going to go next. Whether or not we go to 150K is less important than where my idea for us not going up at all is invalidated. Okay? So if you want to improve your trading drastically, learn to find your point of invalidation. Where is my trade idea incorrect? And if you're proven wrong, then give yourself the freedom to flip your bias. There's nothing wrong with being the biggest bull in the world and then flipping bearish if something different happens and price does something that invalidates your idea. You have to have the discipline to be able to change your bias. What you don't want to do is just go any which way the wind blows based on shit you see on Twitter and you're like, man, I'm bullish for these reasons. Oh, this influencer I like said this, now I'm going to flip my plan. Or the influencers who just say, oh my God, everyone's a bull, I'm a bull, everyone's a bear, I'm a bear. Don't fall into that trap, okay? It's your money on the line at the end of the day here. And you need to know where your ideas, your risk is determined. And then you use that to dictate the rest of the trade idea. Whether we go to 150K, 200K, that's pure guesswork. You could use Elliott Wave, you could use fibs to try and get an estimation because the market moves in mathematical legs, right? Measured moves. You can do that, but it's guesswork at the end of the day. No one knows how high it's actually going to go. It's a guess, right? It's price discovery. But you can absolutely know where your idea is wrong on the downside. And that is more important because that will determine how much money you lose, how much money you get to keep, when you need to flip your bias, and all that other important stuff. And this is true for spot, leverage, meme coins, everything. You have to have a point where you're wrong, or you're going to end up like these people who round trip their meme coins to zero. They don't make any fucking money because they call, oh my God, I longed this here. Oh my God, I'm a genius. It's going to billions, and then it doesn't. And they had this insane entry. They were up at one point, tons of money, and they end up round tripping the entire thing because they had a target in mind that was pure guess. There's no way to actually know how high these are going to go. How high did everyone think WIF was going to go? How'd that work out, right? Like all these fucking coins. Everyone had these crazy targets, but that's guesswork. That's euphoria. That's hype. When in reality, if you long this meme coin, you say, you know what? Okay, I got this crazy entry on this meme. It's clearly a runner. It's going parabolic. I think it's going to billions. It goes to 900 mil. Are you telling me you just never sell? It didn't go to a billion. Why would I sell? Or do you say, you know what? I got this crazy entry, and every high time frame weekly low, I'm going to just trail at my invalidation because if it loses weekly structure, then I'm probably wrong. Like if it loses weekly structure before it gets to my target, I'm probably wrong. Or daily structure, whatever you want to use. But this is super, super critical, super, super key for you guys to understand, okay? So make sure that this permeates its way into your fucking brain, so next time you're feeling super greedy, you're seeing crazy price targets because there's green candles everywhere, you don't end up holding the bag, round tripping, never taking profit because you had no idea where that idea was wrong. You were just focused on what it might go to, how high it might go. Okay, so that's the thesis for Bitcoin, and ETH is basically the same, but we're assuming this weekly structure is still bullish. Yes, technically 74 is the monthly invalidation level, but you're not going to hold price all the way down there. If it comes back down here, right, like if we do go below here, this is your new area of demand. We'll think of a new trade idea down there rather than holding this one all the way down there. This trade concept idea that I'm putting forward is based on the weekly invalidation, okay? But my hope is that the next leg is loading very soon for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. One other thing that we obviously have going for us, I think, is just the timing of these moves. So generally, right, these consolidations on the way up, they get shorter, okay? They get shorter. They get more truncated, right? So these two, about the same length, right? This consolidation, shorter. And then this consolidation, even shorter here. And that's typical of a bullish move, right? A lot of Elliott Wave guys are going to show you their wave count. And okay, the fifth wave has the shortest fucking blah, blah, blah. Just use your fucking eyes and look at the chart. And you can see for yourself, right? These consolidations on the way up, right? They get shorter and shorter and shorter as price gets more parabolic, right? You have your pump, long consolidation, pump, shorter, pump, even shorter, then boom, right? Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, 4, and 5, whatever the Elliott Wave guys do. They're really good at counting the 5 and doing their ABCs, okay? But that's kind of the essence of it. And you can see this every cycle, right? It's the same every time. So you have these shorter and shorter consolidations, right? Very long, 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 shorter, shorter, and then like it's done, okay? And so I imagine if you go look at some of the Elliott Wave guys, you know, they're charting some shit that probably looks like fucking like I don't have the pen. like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, you know, it's just an uptrend. Anyways, not to shit on fucking Elliott Wave. He died poor, I'm pretty sure. Anyways. So yeah, ETH, same thing here. We're assuming this weekly structure is holding. We got the sweep. We're in the lower part of this range. I now want to see the 12-hour flip bullish, just like I do on Bitcoin. I ideally, you know, technically we're there right there, but I would like to see us get above here, get above 4,200. I think that gives us pretty good shot at going to 5K. Same idea, right? So I'm long off these higher lows, and we're hoping that I'm right, because if I'm not right, well then prices go down, and you know, more people, you know, are in pain and agony. But that's all I got here, guys. The next move, I'm hoping, you know, step one of my prediction was the higher low. Okay, well, step two is now we need a higher high. So we're not out of the woods yet, but I'm remaining team bull. We're positioned accordingly. We called it in advance. There's logic behind us. We know where we're wrong. You can't ask for anything else, okay? So let's wait and see what happens. I'll do another video on Wednesday, and hopefully I'll be updating you guys, and price will be above 115, 116K, and then everyone on the timeline will have gotten bullish again because it's safe to do so. And then we'll go from there. But as always, guys, if you have any questions, leave them in the chat. You guys know how to find me: Telegram, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm everywhere. I'm old. I'm 42. I'm on TikTok. Follow me. And yeah, if you want to support your boy, all the bullshit is in the description of this video. Breakout, we've got our new $200,000 plans now, so you can get a 200K account with 5x leverage. You can open up $1 million notional position on Bitcoin and ETH. Use code MAIN for a discount if you want to join the Haven. That shit is in the description, all my ref links. Or as always, just tell me I'm handsome and smart and charming, and I don't look a day over 43. All right, guys, I hope everyone has a fantastic start to their week, and we will talk to you all very soon. Goodbye.